There we go. So whilst John's sorting out, let me just give you a quick little bio of Jon. That's right. As we sort of adapt and roll with these sort of punches as they happen. So Jon is the CEO of the $50 billion Sydney Metro program. It's the largest public transport program in Australia and probably one of the top projects in the world. He's brought the Northwest Metro into the service, and now he's delivering the city and with Sydney West Metro, Metro West, and Metro Western Sydney airports. So previously he was Chief Executive for Transport for Greater Manchester, integrating all forms of transport for the people of Greater Manchester and delivering a $2.5 billion capital program, rapidly increasing the Metrolink patronage, bringing change through devolution. So welcome, Jon. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh, okay.
We're getting success now.
Hopefully you can hear me now.
There we go, Jon. It sounds fantastic. Welcome to have you back.
Fantastic. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide, please. Thank you very much for having me today.
Absolute pleasure.
So basically, Sydney Metro, for those that don't know us, this is a project, it's the largest public transport project in Australia and one of the largest in the world. But the significance here is that we're spread right across the Greater Sydney metropolitan area. And yes, we're all about transforming Sydney. We've got one driverless line in operation right now. We've got 3 in delivery as well. And it's all about making a step change in rail infrastructure, trying to create this concept of 3 connected cities to Sydney by making it fast turn up and go services. We know it works. We've got the first line open as of May last year. We've had about 25 million customers on it. They love it. We're getting about 96% customer satisfaction at the moment. But from Chatswood, which is the sort of right-hand end of that top line, we're busy digging underneath the harbour. We're constructing a number of new stations through there, and we're about to convert from Sydenham to Bankstown, which is the sort of darker blue line that goes round to the southwest. By the time we finished in 2024 and we open the line, we've got 31 metro stations and a 66-kilometre standalone railway. But as of a few weeks ago, we started to build from the Sydney CBD out to Parramatta. That's the dark blue line in the middle there. And we're just about to start work on the Western Sydney Airport line, which is the one out to the west here. And that's going out to the new airport at Nancy Bird Walton International Airport. The important bit, of course, is this is major construction and it's about how we do it. So let's go on to that in the next slide. This is a huge construction task, and it's a huge freight task. And it starts, I suppose, with the demolition of existing buildings. We're doing an awful lot of that as we construct our stations and construct the lines. And of course, as we come in and actually replace it with stations and railway equipment, there's an awful lot of construction equipment to move into every site as well. And just as an example, we've got the figures there for the City and Southwest line, the numbers of tunnel segments and the excavated spoil. If you imagine that every one of our station boxes is about 240 metres long, it's about 40 metres wide, and it's about 25 to 30 metres deep. So there's an awful lot of material has to be moved out of each one. Next slide. And the reality is that we're doing that in the middle of Sydney. It is unprecedented amounts of rail infrastructure, but we're doing it in a brownfield urban environment where there are plenty of existing businesses, communities. We've got lots of interfaces with all the traffic that goes along with it. The roads here have high volumes of pedestrian traffic, cyclists, commuters, local traffic, you name it, they're all there. So our real priority, the number one priority, is to maintain public safety whilst minimising the impact to the local community. And the way that we think about this is by really looking at our risk profile. And we recognise that our risks don't stop at the hoardings and the boundaries of our site, but really it's all about the risk into the community, and for that purpose, they are our customers. So we are an active, we're an informed client. We understand that our project's got the impact to impact all the communities and really introduce risk into communities while we're building infrastructure. So we're looking at solutions to minimise the impact and minimise the risks. We're really trying to understand what the environment's like, and we're really trying to understand the communities we're working with and the industries that we're partnering with. The reality is that some of the recent high-profile fatal heavy road crashes in the Sydney region involved construction heavy vehicles and public road users. And over the 4 years between 2015 and 19, I think about 51% of the fatalities involved in heavy truck crashes were a vulnerable road user. Pedestrians were about 23%, motorcyclists 23%, and cyclists 5%. Many of these crashes, they're often attributed to the limitations of heavy vehicles, blind spots, crash incompatibility with smaller road users. Next one, next slide, thanks. So what we try and do, it's not about what we're delivering, it's how it's being delivered that's important. We also know that we need to lead by example and be very clear on our health and safety approach and our commitments that we're making. And to do that, we've got an overarching health and safety model that talks about all our priority initiatives and focus areas, particularly public areas around our sites and the transport activities, which are the most critical risks on the projects. We also take a life cycle approach. This is not, safety is not something that's just done during construction and operation, but it actually starts years before in the project's planning, the design and the procurement phases. So when it comes to road safety, our decisions try to follow the best international best practice of safe system approach to recognise that all road users are capable of making mistakes and that we've got to build in control measures to prevent a crash and minimise the level of harm should a crash occur. Now we couldn't do that on our own. We do that with partners. And it's a collaborative approach. Safety is not a complete item. And we work with a range of delivery partners across our infrastructure portfolio, whether it's tunnelling under the harbour or it's transporting the spoil or it's delivering concrete, and pay tribute to all of them for buying into what we're doing. We try and look at the risks in construction, and we try and take the best practice from wherever we find it. So we'll learn the lessons from the past. We'll look at the current best practice amongst our delivery partners, and we'll look at the academic literature that's out there. We also very much look to other places locally and internationally. So we'll pick up things like the information out of Transport Research Laboratory in the UK, which I'm very familiar with, lessons from London's Crossrail and other sites globally. And in all of that research, CLOCS was identified time and time again as a recognised best practice approach internationally to managing road safety and construction logistics through projects planning and procurement processes. So we've reviewed the requirements of CLOCS to inform our local approach on Metro to make sure that we've got the right road safety standards in our safety standards for everything that we do. So here we've got the safe vehicles, and we have project safety standards and contract specifications. And so all the heavy vehicles on our projects have to meet minimum standards, and they're listed here. I won't read them all through, but all the things you'd expect from blind spot elimination, monitoring systems, visibility markings, there's a whole range of things, all designed to reduce the risk that construction freight may introduce to vulnerable road users. And it also gives us as a project a way of monitoring movements so that we can, as far as we can, monitor what's going on and try and improve as we go. So with our principal contractors, we're looking at all the safety features that are in our contract documents and making sure they comply. But to my mind, it's not just about the kit on the vehicle, it's about what we can do in terms of behaviours and training. So we have done this with our delivery partner, TAFE New South Wales, and introduced a bespoke driver course. And it's a requirement for all new heavy vehicle drivers working on our projects. And it introduces things like low-risk driving behaviours, professionalism, how to share the road with vulnerable users, and familiarisation with routes, and all of that. And the reality is that we're getting great feedback from drivers on what they think of the training that they're getting. It's wider than just us in Metro on the next slide, because in 2017, before we started major work in the Sydney CBD, with Transport for New South Wales, we funded the New South Wales Be Truck Aware campaign, which was designed to get further awareness and reinforce safe behaviours. And it's a lot of fairly simple messaging and key videos about how to operate in and around trucks. We promoted it through digital means and physical advertising, like we did Facebook, radio ads, we were at bus stops, and we even put messages on partners' trucks. We engaged at the Sydney Royal Easter Show, and that gave people the opportunity to get in the cab and see it from the driver's point of view. And we reckon we've reached about 4.8 million viewers across New South Wales, and it's got good TV coverage as well. Of course, one of the other approaches that we can do is actually try and remove the problem altogether. So we'll have a think about, okay, well, maybe there's another way of delivering it, which in this case is barging at Barangaroo and Blues Point, where we've been tunnelling under the harbour. So we'll use that as an alternative model to transport the tunnel boring machine and excavated spoil away from the site. And that took away, for example, 40,000 truck movements in a very congested area. And that truck marshalling facility at White Bay was another way that we could try and just marshal the traffic, get it sorted in a sensible order, and gave us the opportunity to do safety and compliance inspections. But all of that as a process isn't really enough. You need to check that it's actually working, and that's part of our governance framework, and it's very much around our collaborative approach with partners. So we have an assurance program to make sure that it actually works, do the surveillance monitoring, and do auditing either by us as a client, or get third parties in to do that. And we also use independent environmental audits to have a look at what's going on as well. So for us, and I suppose this is the key message, we're very keen on having CLOCS as in Australia. We've found that it's not always been easy to get higher standards for safety in Australia, but actually as a major infrastructure client with a large footprint, we feel that we have the ability to raise the bar, and we are working with our partners to achieve that. We're very supportive of the CLOCS standard because we think it will introduce all of these things, get a consistent level playing field where no operator thinks that safety is a competing item. Industry partners can work with us. They'll have confidence in winning work. They'll know that this is standard they've got to meet. We think it'll get a lot more safety and efficiency right through the supply chain, and we're very keen on that. And we'll also breed confidence in the public as well, who are seeing that we are putting in place these safety measures. And overall, every life we save, every accident that we avoid is a really good positive measure. So that's what we're doing, and that's why we support CLOCS. Thanks very much, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Fantastic presentation. Thank you very much, John, for stepping in as well. Peter came in at the 11th hour. He's just materialised in the background as well, so welcome, Peter. I think, was it hard at all adapting or drawing on what CLOCS in the UK has been doing to what things are in Australia? Have you found that hard at all?
I think there's been a general issue around safety standards across Australia and trying to implement higher standards across the piece. Actually, CLOCS didn't come as a huge shock to us. Actually, we were already targeting many of the measures that CLOCS had in place. It was therefore very easy for us to say, yeah, absolutely, CLOCS is very much in line with what we're doing. So it became an easy standard for us to adopt. But I'd say across the industry, it's been hard work at times to improve safety standards across the piece. But CLOCS is something that we think it's a no-brainer. You know, why wouldn't you?
That's great. There's all these different questions pouring in now. It's quite effortless, really. Rob's really asking, did you find it hard for contractors? Were they responsive to the program, and did they see there's opportunity to improve their standards?
Well, I think I made the point earlier that it's all about our delivery partners, and certainly the tier 1s, tier 2s that we've worked with, very easy for them to buy into this. Once they know what you're trying to do, they very quickly buy into it, and actually they'll share practice between them. So it's very easy to do. What is more challenging is for some of the smaller operators, but they're often the ones that we want to catch and try and get them to raise their standards. But I think they know that they've got an ongoing body of work. It's why I put the first slide up to show we've got a lot more work to go and a big future. And they know that if they want to work with us, they're going to have to meet those standards. And I think it's not seen as a competitive advantage. It's seen as if you want to work with Sydney Metro, that's the way we're going to do it, which was very much the Crossrail experience, I think. And we've certainly picked up lessons from them.
I'm seeing Peter nod quite a bit. So just one last question before I moved in, and I'll tell you, sorry for all the other ones that we'll hold them through to the end. There's been some strong resistance from other government projects for adopting CLOCS. Do you have any suggestions to convince these sort of people and other sort of projects at all?
I think we just have to spread the word and spread the evidence. And I think as people start to see what it is that we're doing, see the vehicles with the equipment on them, understand the change in the behaviours, and really see the change in the safety statistics, it'll evidence itself. And I think you've just got to roll these things out and lead the way, much as Crossrail changed everything in UK, I think. Changed the way TfL thought about it, and certainly from my background in Manchester, we immediately said, yeah, that's what we've got to do. And it's building that momentum that really works.
Thanks, John. I think one of the other little lessons I took from that, like you said, it's more than just the technology and trucks and looking at those sort of components, because I think, as we just found out, trying to get Peter online and going through these things is technology is fallible.
Absolutely. But it's behaviours as well. So the training has been fantastic and so well received by everybody.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time, John. And I'll throw in Peter now so he can join in and you can sit in and listen to his presentation. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.